Okay, let's start with we're going to be talking about Wise Up. I love that title because, sometimes we say this or we hear it, we say that, you know what, you need to wise up. But let's step back and first say a little bit about your background. Let's give some context for people because, just because I think people need to know where you've come from, that brought you here, and why it's so important for those in manufacturing and those in business to also know where you came from. Not literally, not from your mother,
We're not gonna go that
Right.
I've got 19 years as a digital transformation expert. I've been working with 21 different industries. Manufacturing is one of the 21. And of course, it is one of my favorites. I can tell you, I totally had such big fun of doing digital transformations, ERP implementations for manufacturing. And for the past 2 years, right after pandemic, I had to switch from digital transformations to something else because lockdown shut down all the businesses, and all my programs what I was leading were also the programs who shut it down. And I chose to combine my digital brain with my social media brain with my public speaking brain, and I created a very special program for senior management, for business owners, for high level business professors also came to the program, and also medical doctors and medical professors to become TEDx speakers. And that's how we met with you, Gail. And I just loved it, absolutely loved it. So end of last year, I decided to close the program, sadly, for so many people I know. And I moved to something that is really important right now. And I created the Wise Up program, which is a 14 days intensive course where we go through everything that can look internally. And the reason why is because what I see right now is like a huge a problem for the people that we never have time to look internally and see what is there, and then consciously decide what to stay in our value system, what I say, in our body and in our mind, and everything that we don't need, which is complete noise for our brain, just to drop it and very consciously decide to leave it out. That is what I created. And the reason why I moved from corporate and then for very short period to use my public speaking skills and digital and social media, so I can transfer now to Wise Up. So I changed career drastically twice so far.
Well, one thing we do have in common is that we've been able to transition to do different things, and which is very important because in manufacturing, that's also a part of how those in manufacturing, those in industry, in fact, those in business. I always said, if you're going to survive long term, you really have to adapt. I often say, hear the train in the distance before it comes barreling down at you. And what's really interesting is that, I started Curious Minds, the show, also because of what I was seeing and sensing in the world and how we needed to make curiosity more important. And what's interesting about Wise Up is that because of your wealth of background experience, it seems that's what you saw as a need, as people needing to wise up. And this is more than just book learning and taking another course and getting another degree on the wall. So let me start here. I want to address this right out of the gate because when I'm working a lot of times with business people, manufacturing, and I've encountered this personally as well, is that people will say, oh, that is very woo woo. That's too out there. And it comes from, I think, that belief that there's a separation between our inner world, how we are, how we function, and then when we go to work. And And I will say this, sometimes that seems to be at the root of the problem is there's this disconnect. We think we're different at work than we are maybe with friends and family, which may be normal up to an extent, but I want to turn that over to you now to take it from there in terms of the addressing the woo-woo.
Yeah, there is a huge gap right now between how we show up and suit up when we're outside work, and the moment when we step at work, regardless if we work from home or we go in the office, we show up completely different us and personality. Where for me, there is no two separation. It's not personal and business life. It's both. It's oneness. It's all together. If the way how you show up at work is the same way how you supposed to show up at home, right? And it's not like, oh, I'm not gonna be professional. No, of course you're gonna be professional. You can be nice to people and still be professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you are not nice person, not to use really bad words right now, life. But if you're not nice person, and then you show that in your business daily life, and then you go home and you turn into completely different person, then you do live two personalities. Then
Mm-hmm.
you've got two personalities in your own body and in your own mind. So why we supposed to live two different lives where we are oneness, we are one thing. So think about this. One of the biggest problem what people right now have is that they do their best to put themselves first, which means to say no to others and yes to them. Now, think how you do that in personal and business life. In personal life, some of the people say like they have such a big problem to say no to someone else. When someone comes and say, "Can you do me a favor? Can you do that?" So many people out there are so difficultly having big difficulty to say no, because that means that they're going to jeopardize the time with their family. They're going to have less time for themselves. They're going to have less time for their kids. They're going to have less time for their garden. They're going to have less time for their hobbies. So they're constantly saying yes because they didn't learn how to say no. It's so simple, right? And meanwhile, when you move that to work, most probably they have the same pattern at work. So at work, they stay longer hours because they don't know how to say no. It's so it's actually so simple. So there's no woo here, right? There's no like that separation what everyone is thinking like, oh, this is wise up, this is too spiritual, this is not for me. Well, I'm quite down to earth person. So one of the first thing I always constantly speak with people, and I hear that issue in their language and the way how they act around people, is that saying no to the others and yes to themselves, which literally, I'll tell you what brings them more time. It brings them more calmness internally, and it brings them more satisfaction for the fact that they're not constantly somewhere for someone else. They show up for themselves, not for someone else. Then the other issue what I constantly see is that people see problems everywhere. They don't see opportunities. Somehow, how our life for the past, I would say, 5 years completely flipped, right? So we are those business people, we constantly solve problems every day. And at some point, we forget that we can take ourselves out of the problem mode and we can constantly see opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is the second biggest problem I see with people right now, and that's why I created the Wise Up course, because there is a very easy technique actually on how you can get yourself out of the situation and opportunities. Wiser than me people said, like, you can't solve a problem when you're in a problem mode. You can only solve it when you're in a solution mode. But how it, like, I like this kind of really good quotes, but they don't give you the how, the technique, the mechanism.
Mhm.
And that's what I step in to give that technique and that mechanism. The other issue, what I constantly see is people create so many stories in their life, in their mind, that never happen. But those stories that are in our mind, they drain our energy, and it's like it's impacting so negatively our thoughts, our mental and emotional health. So if you're constantly that in that mood, like at work, you're constantly working on problems and you're solving situations and issues, and then you leave work, and then your mind is constantly creating now negative stories, and you're in this kind of broken record in your mind. Of course you're not going to be happy, of course you're not going to feel fulfilled, and at the end of the day, when you go to in bed, and you'll be like, was it a good day today? Most probably the answer would be no. But actually, it's so easy to get yourself out of these stories in your head. Again, it's another technique, and it's so easy to get out of your head and be the observer, and take it from there, which breaks that pattern, that broken record. um, and then the other thing, which is the fourth thing, which is so difficult for people, is to to drop that need of control, not the control, but the need for control. It's a huge difference. Even Tony Robbins explained it so badly. Sorry, Tony. But if you drop control, what happens is chaos and anarchy. He says like, oh, you need to drop control to be able, to be happier. Well, no, because if you drop control, it will be chaos. But if you drop the need to control everything around you, and the need to control on very detailed micro level control, um, then you still know what is happening, who is doing it, when is doing it, etc. But you don't do the micro control, the micromanagement, and then your life, gosh, you now have a lot more time and energy for everything. And that goes in personal and professional life. It's very interesting what I've seen for the past since 2014. I don't know how many years is this, like almost 10 years now. But when I start dropping the control, I dropped it in my personal life first because it was much easier. But then I struggled massively for my business life, and that was before I realized that those two goes together. It's not like separation, and I shouldn't treat like me in personal and me in business life differently. But I had like a big issue with that because I was a project manager, and then I was a program director, and I had that need to control, like sometimes the micro controlling, because I knew that, like what we say, like the little stone can always flip the carriage over. And yeah, it was a journey. But then on the way, I started using different techniques, and literally I packed all these techniques, the 11 techniques what I go through in 14 days. And that's why I call them Wise Up, because I couldn't find a better name for that. Because you go internally, and you come out after 2 weeks working on yourself, you come out much wiser. And that was the best one as name.
And you know what I find interesting about this is that we think of wisdom only coming from a book. And, you just reminded me of something. A friend long, long time ago said, we have all the answers inside of us.
Yeah.
And yet, I think that's also a belief system, because it's really hard. And it's only through, I would say, a bit of aging and a bit of life experience, raising a teenage son, I've done that work of stepping back. And, when I think about control, the other thing I think that control brings with it is stress, not only for the other person or people or whoever you're like adding it on to. And here's a story my son shared with me, and I'll just say this, that both his girlfriend and I were very concerned as he was getting ready for a trip about, how he was packing, what he was packing, did he get it done? And it added a fair bit of anxiety to him because he didn't have, and this is what I think is important. He didn't have the same maybe goals as we did. We're thinking like, you got to make sure you have everything. And whereas he was like, well, if I don't have it, I'll buy it. Like, as long as he has the basics.
Yeah.
And a credit card, right? And it really made me think about that projecting onto someone else what we think is important. And can you maybe talk about what that kind of stress can do to others as well as yourself? Like, because I think stress is one of the things I've been learning about how it impacts weight gain, it impacts headaches, it impacts like so many things of our physical health. So and I know this is something you're very aware of. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a vicious circle. So you stress over something in a situation. That stress comes through you, and you literally spread that stress onto your team at work, at home, to your people. And it's very interesting. If you've got like children directly automatically um, do it as a mirror of yourself. So if you're stressed, they're directly stressed, and they throw tantrums, and it's like everything goes wrong. Like they get sick very quickly, and just like the snowball effect is like getting bigger and bigger within hours. If you don't have kids in your life, then that stress literally comes in a form of you've got people in the office that are resistant. Like the most simple thing, what you think that is gonna pass very quickly, you go in a meeting, it's a very easy decision, and you just want to go to the next meeting and just like be done with something very easy. Out of nowhere, people are so resistant, only because it doesn't matter if you believe in energy or not, but that this stress hormone is literally spreading, and this neuroscience explain it very well. But that stress hormone spreads around in the room of the people you are with, regardless if it's online or physically. And that stress goes amongst everyone. And as a automatic reaction from adults to you as an adult is resistance straight away. So don't be surprised if you start going in meetings and you've got like resistance for things that are the most logical thing in your mind, and then boom, out of nowhere people are like no, and they find problems where you never thought that there is a problem. Simply ask yourself the question, like, what I'm stressing right now about, is it really on level 1 to 5, regardless how you do it? 1 is the biggest, the highest, or 5 is the highest. How stressed you are about something. And next time, before you go in a meeting, if you manage through breathing to lower that stress, and then go in a meeting, see what's going to happen. I absolutely guarantee you that because of your stress level is not that high anymore, everyone around you is going to be a lot more relaxed, and they're going to mirror you, obviously, as being a lot more relaxed. And then the flow of the meetings and the flow of the decisions, what you're about to take, is going to be very quick. Instead of resistance, you're going to be like solving very quickly issues or taking very easy decisions. So stress level, and I'm explaining it in business life, but it's exactly the same at home. Like obviously with kids is quite very obvious and quickly, but partners is pretty much the same. So what is important is to not project whatever is coming internally. Solve it first internally instead of projecting it outside yourself. Solve it internally. Like what I see right now is all of us is having that issue that we're not in our body, we're not in the present moment. We're constantly thinking about future, about something we have to do, something that is happening today, something is happening in half an hour, 3 hours, 2 hours in the evening, regardless what. Or every time, and it's interesting, every time when we travel, we go backwards. We go in the past and we start thinking about something that happens in the past, and we start going in our mind like, why did I do this? Like all this like self doubts and going on in our mind. But if you think how often we are in the present moment, we are not stressed. In the present moment, we are not like self-doubting. We're not um, objecting something. We're just in the present moment. If you're traveling in car, just be present. If you're traveling on the train, just be present, right? And this is the time to go inwards and see what is there. The biggest fear what people have right now is to go inwards and see what is there, because we're so used to judge others and constantly be busy with the outside world, that we never actually give ourselves time to go inwards and discover the inwards, the inside world. And it's huge. Like if you ever did any kind of inwards work, the world inside you is like, I don't know, 100 times bigger than the outside world, which is, I know it sounds woo woo, but if you take it down to earth, like what that means, it means how to calm your mind, um, how to be confident in your own skin and be well in your own skin. That is the internal world. How you do it with different practices and with different techniques, and the outcome is that you've got that peace, internal peace. If you go, like, think about it, if you go in a meeting and you've got someone that is really calm, and you start talking to that person, how you feel. Now change the scenery. If you go in a meeting and you start talking to someone who is stressed, someone who is constantly like thinking about like back and forwards, like future, past, future, past, future, past, how you think, how you feel talking to that person. Of course, you're gonna be stressed as well, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, like what to solve first. So it's really that important to get back to your peace of mind and be present and inside your body.
And, as you were talking, one of the things that came to me was, that idea of curiosity. And I'm a big fan of the show, Ted Lasso. And one of the mantras from that show is be curious, not judgmental. So let's shift a little bit, because we talked a lot about, personal, a little bit about work. One of the things that I see, because I spend a lot of time on social media, if we start to look at the bigger picture of the bigger world, one of the things that I see as a glaring issue is the whole idea of judgment and people posting. And it's something that I'm very aware of, as people are saying, they don't like social media, or social media is negative, or it's toxic, and the list goes on. And yet I don't always see that, because this is what I teach people, right? From a public relations perspective, is curate your content, choose who you follow, make choices that are healthy. And so can you talk about that, about the broader world, and how this course may help people also adapt to, the world around us as well?
Yeah. I'm gonna answer first as the digital nerd in me. And I'm gonna echo what you said. How you do it, how you clear your content and you follow the right people. You literally, every single social media platform is an algorithm behind. It's a technology. It's you watching right now who is teaching the algorithm as of the person telling the algorithm what you like. You like something, but you don't like the rest. You like something else, but you don't like the rest. So every time when you scroll on social media and you stop, even you don't read it, but you start watching a video, now the platform knows that you like some kind of a content, and it's like, here you go, you've got more of this. But if you click and you start watching it, then the algorithm is like, you definitely like this. So when you, Gail, said clear your content and follow the right people, that is exactly what it means, to teach the algorithm as of what you like. So every time when you like something, you comment on something, the algorithm understands the type of content you like and is going to show you more of that. So how that impacts your whole life and globally, well, it impacts first your own life. Think about how many hours you spend just scrolling on your favorite social media and watching something. We all have, like, I don't know, like once, for me is like once a month. I end up like 1 a.m. and I've been on the phone for 2 hours without realizing it has been 2 hours. And I was on my way to bed and I was like, oh, let me see this and let me see this. And there's like scrolling and watching the next and the next, because that's how the algorithm works. It's trying to keep you on the platform right now for as long as possible. And the time, literally, I don't know if you experience this, but the time slips. Literally, it slips.
Oh, yeah.
Like right now is 25th of July 2023. I don't know how on earth half of the year was gone just like this, right? So if you are a happy person, absorbing all this content from social media in a time when you're really very consciously choosing how long time you're going to do it and how often you're going to do it, and teaching the algorithm to serve you, not someone else, but serve you content wise, then that happy you is going to spread in your family. Your family, happy family, is going to spread it with all the people and neighborhood where you live in and all the people you speak every day. Because I 100% bet right now that when you see something really nice and funny, you always share it with your friends and people you love, and then they spread it to someone else and someone else, right? We always say gossips and news spread much quicker than any TV news or any radio show, because that's how we are, humans. And nowadays, think about the globalization. Because of internet, there is no anymore like the local community. There is a global community. So we are not anymore our country. There is a global communities. There is no content. There is a global communities. And why I'm saying it is this, because global communities is the way how we now mingle around. I never met you in person, Gail, but I so love you because the moment when I met you, it was a click straight away, because we've got common ideas, what we share. We've got common hobbies. We've got common topics where the moment when we call each other is like we can't stop talking, both of us, right? And this is how we create those global communities. Right now is, regardless where you live physically, you're part of at least 2 global communities where you go online once a month. I don't know, more often than once a month, and then you discuss topics that are really you're curious about them. You're like excited about those topics, and that's how the global communities right now are working. It's not anymore on physical level. It's not anymore on country levels. It's more of what language we can speak so we can understand each other, and what is the common theme and topic in that global community. And that goes again, like, would you be part of a community which gives you stress, and it levels up your anxiety, and you go and in a meeting and then you feel more depressed than you step into the meeting? Of course not. Of course you're going to look for communities where when you finish the meeting with those people, you feel much relaxed and more happier. You laughed, you tap into those emotions which are much happier. It's the spectrum which is towards happiness and oneness, and you felt one with the whole community, and you completely organically you start living those communities, physically or virtual communities, where you finish the meetings, you finish seeing those people, and like you feel drained, you feel anxious, you feel stressed, and it's like why on earth these people told me this. Now I'm gonna like it's gonna come into my mind, and I'm gonna start creating negative stories, and it's like disaster stories, how, you know, a war and like whatever, what was it, that movie, The Day After Tomorrow style, right?
Yeah.
So of course you're gonna start kind of avoiding those type of communities that are
Yes.
giving you.
And people.
Exactly. And you're going to start completely finding naturally those people. And there is this kind of a middle situation, by the way. And I want you to put a yes in the comment if you're one of those people. There is a huge amount of people where they left the old communities. They don't belong to any new communities, or at least like they don't feel they're belonging somewhere. And they feel so isolated and so alone, and it's kind of like I'm not saying lonely, sometimes they are lonely, but so alone that they don't want to speak with these people because it's really getting on their nerves and like stressing them and depressing them, right, and draining them. But they haven't find yet those communities that are giving them that laughter and smiles and happiness. So put a yes in the comments. It's really interesting because right now what's happening globally is that the amount of those people that are in the middle that are still looking for the next community is like literally blew up. It's like a huge amount of people who are sitting in the middle.
So, let's now look at this, some practical tips maybe for people in business that are watching and are saying, geez, well, one of the things is people say they're too busy to take a course like this, or too busy to spend time um, on this kind of personal development, right? And I know you and I get it, because this is this circular discussion, because unless you can get to that inner core, like you're probably going to have stress, you're probably going to have weight gain, all those things we talked about. And one of the things I can say that's probably been the biggest life change for me is, well, let's talk about the idea of control again, because I think this is really important for anybody in leadership. And I'll share something that is personal. That was when I was managing a team. One of the things that someone higher up in a project management, a very senior person in the company, pulled me aside and said, because we were trying to figure out where the problems were in my department and that. And he looked at me, and this was the best advice I got ever in my life. He said, "You're the bottleneck." And I was like, I don't know if I like that answer, but now I could have just went, okay, and, been mad. Instead, I really wanted to know why. And I started looking at, okay, how did I become the bottleneck? Well, I became the bottleneck because of a control issue, because I felt it. And here's the key thing that I've learned over time. My intention was good. My intention was to make change, to, be helpful. I didn't want to make a mistake. I wanted success. So what I did was, I thought if I became, let's control everything, and then but it had the opposite effect on my team. So let's maybe spend another few tips on that, about what people can do if they're the bottleneck.
Yeah, absolutely. And hi to Michael, because he said yes on LinkedIn, and
Yes.
thank you
Hello,
so much
Michael. Thank you.
for answering that. You're exactly that person in the middle, like dropping people from your life and then
Yeah.
and looking for new. Thank you so much for the honesty, Michael, because it's really important to stand in front of you and be like, I am one of those people. Like just accept it first and then the next. Control is very interesting. So the first step is really to realize the difference between control and the need of control.
Mm-hmm.
If you drop control, that is going to lead to chaos and anarchy. If you drop the need of control, that's going to drop the micro management, the my way or the highway, right?
Yeah.
So that distinguish between you're not dropping control. So the moment when you put that in your mind will be like, okay, great, I will still know what is happening, when is happening, who is doing it. I just don't need to know the details how they're doing it. The how is like, it's too much details. So I can like this is the talk in your brain. Literally, I'm telling you what is happening in your brain. The brain is like, okay, so because I don't concentrate on how they're doing it, it's my way or the highway. Now I can use that time to spend on what is my responsibility as a manager, what is my responsibility as a director, what else I can do to make the whole project, to lift my people from the team and motivate them, encourage them, or like start a new project and add something different and new. Like, you're gonna literally use that time and effort and energy for something that is more constructive and more positive. So that first step of what's the difference between control and the need of control literally calms your brain completely, and your brain is much happier. It's like, yay, I don't need to tell people like step 1, step 2, step 3, like this is their responsibility, so they're going to do it. And that leads to the second step, which is literally when you see someone in your team that they didn't do it the way you would do it and you see gaps, then ask yourself 2 questions. Is that because they're missing some kind of training? So because they lack of some kind of skills, or the procedure is not there and they couldn't follow procedure because there's no such kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is because you still have that need inside you that it has to be your way or the highway.
Yeah.
Right. So if it's the first one, then you can very easily put in place a new procedure. You can put a new manual. You can like completely change thinking now as a manager, because as a manager now you look after your people, and when you look after your people, regardless next time who is going to do it, they've got the manual, they've got the procedure, they can follow step by step what is there. But that helps your team as that person who basically created some kind of a mistake right now, but the next time you know that that mistake is not going to be there. So the moment when you drop that micromanagement and the need to control, now you come as a really good manager. And that, like I always say, there is a huge difference between good managers and good leaders. The managers are usually those that it's difficult for them to drop that need to control, but the good leaders allow people to make mistakes, and then they analyze the situation where the mistake is done, and they say, okay, so we've got gap of skills, we've got gaps of procedure, we've got gaps of something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do something to lift my team to be on a much higher level. So the moment when you learn to drop the need of control, you become from manager to a leader, and that is a huge mistake. How I structure the Wise Up course, it's very interesting because we talk about control 2 days in a row, and I only ask questions. I don't tell people what to do. The way how I just explained it, I was basically telling you like what's happening. On the Wise Up course, I constantly ask questions, question after question after question, because the moment when you ask a really powerful question, and the person hear the question and ask themselves, that is the process of going inwards internally. When they start finding the questions, I can feel that person, if there is a resistance between, I can see the truth, but I want to reject it because my ego right now is playing a big role here. Or they're like, sugar, I've been doing this shit for a long time. So I can literally see that that process. And I can tell, like the last class what I had this amazing man. He's a business owner, and he has a huge business in a city just outside London. And I've been like, I told him, I'm gonna grill you until you answer my question. And and I was asking one question. He just like I could see that he was resisting. He knew the answer internally, but he didn't want to say it out loud.
Mhm.
Why it's so important to say the answer out loud is because the moment when you say it out loud, then you hear yourself. Because this is what I teach day 1 and day 2, to start listening to the words what you're saying and your thoughts, and then create a bulb in your mind. The bulb is going to light up the moment when you say something that you don't want it anymore in your life. And he was really resisting for 2 days on the need of control and the control. And then at the end, like, I think I grilled him for like about 15 minutes. And at the end, he said, you know what? I was resist I was really resisting to sign up for the course because of my ego. And I'm so happy right now that I signed up for the course and I killed my ego, so I can get to right now that moment that I've been actually looking for that answer, what I just gave to myself for a really long time. And I was like, I'm gonna celebrate that. Literally, I celebrate those moments. It's so good.
I want to hear maybe another testimonial about a business person that took your course, because it is, we're going to talk about that. It's very cost effective. It's not a big dollar amount. Yet people spend, money on all sorts of things, how to be better at Excel, how to be better at, all of these other, technical courses, sometimes how to get better at SEO, whatever. And yet we really need to look at, I mean, if we don't start at the base, if we don't start at our foundational level, it's hard to make change. Before we go on, I want to welcome, definitely want to say another shout out to Michael. Thank you for tuning in, Michael, and commenting yes to an earlier question. Thank you. And we have, look who else is in the house. Inspiration from Inger. Hello, Inger. Now, Inger has a few comments. I'm going to go through some of these comments because and then we'll talk a little bit about who Inger is and her role in each of our lives. And she is definitely someone who is also curious and around connecting with people. She's so let's see. We have this. I did drop my own comment and I said yes, that Billy Ann has had many mic drop moments. You're indeed quite brilliant. Yes, there were some really good things around control and around how this relates to those in business and manufacturing. Welcome, Inger. That was me. Thank you so much. Tuning in from Toronto, another Canadian. Yay. And here's the other thing is Inger's in over on YouTube. So this is dropping. So if people come and watch this video later, you want to see, thank you, Inger, for some of these gems. So good leaders are not the same as good managers. And asking questions, the best way to get someone to think. Oh, yeah, that is true. And another mic drop moment from Inger. We are able to change more easily when the idea is our own, as opposed to being told what to think or do. Oh, yeah. Ouch. That's an ouch for me, because again, I'm going to give, through many decades now of being an employee, being an employer, I've been on the union side and the management side. I've worked with different people as a consultant, and it's really hard because often, my intentions are always good, but you know what's that saying? Good intentions, and I don't know. There's this saying I can't think of it right now, but um, just because our intentions are good doesn't make the way we're using them positive or healthy. And that is one reason why I want to take your course as well, because it's about digging a bit deeper on how to be that better person, um, better mom, better friend, better consultant, everything, right? I mean, it because it doesn't come easily. It's a I know I always go, oh my God, I'm a work in progress for sure. I still have so much more. Oh, here we are. Oh, okay. This is, I knew it. There we go. My God. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Michael, can you put where you're watching from? I'm
Yes.
curious. Mind
The
as
road
Gail.
to hell is
That's why
paved.
I'm on the show. I'm
Let's
always
leave that
curious.
out of there. Yes. Oh, geez.
It is. The road to
Yes.
hell is paved with good
Yeah.
intentions. Absolutely.
Thank you, Michael, for that. I knew it was out there somewhere. Another thing that I remember, it was someone had asked me one time that I was doing some work with. She does myofascial work or massage, and I was going through something, and she asked me this. She said, "Why aren't you owning your power?" And then I was like, "Okay, can you give me a hint? Can you tell me why I'm not over?" And every time I go to see her, she'd ask the same question. I was like, "Oh." I finally did come to understand that exactly what you were talking about. It's that I was thinking about other people, other situations, what would people think, as opposed to doing what was going to be healthiest for me.
Mm.
And I'm really glad she didn't give me that answer as much as I wanted her to, because I needed to go through that process of trying to figure that out. So, oh, here we are. So Michael's in San Diego. Ooh, nice. So we now have a truly international. We've got both sides of the ocean, US, Canada. So thank you,
Nice.
Michael. Thank you for adding that saying to me too, because I would have had to go search for it after. So we're coming up. Wow. 1 minute I look at the time, next thing, like, wow, we're nearing the
Time literally slips. Talking about time, you did ask, and I didn't answer that question. Sorry about that. Why I chose to do that course during summer, because obviously summertime, everyone is on holiday and all that. It's very interesting with the previous class. I thought that it would be like a very small group, and which is easier for me, obviously, and the people gets a lot more out of the course. And the people, what was the reaction of the people really surprised me. 50% of them were on summer holiday, and they said, we want you to sign up for the course because it's only 2 weeks. 1 week they're on holiday, 1 week is like before holiday or after holiday. And they said, this is the best time to actually work on myself. It's the time when I read books, I go inwards, and I want to have that help from someone to ask me those powerful questions, and through me answering, I can find the answer for myself and what I really want. And that honestly, that made my day. And it kind of showed me also that there's so many people who really want to work on themselves, and it's not anymore via books. And I don't have anything against books, but it's one thing to read a book and ask yourself the question, and it's like, yeah, this is the answer. But when you have someone like me especially grilling you until you really dive deeper and you give yourself the most honest answer, that is very different. And of course you really need to drop your ego and don't judge yourself, which I teach people in the first few days how to do that, because the whole course is not about judging yourself. It's about literally finding what is internally, what you're doing right now, and then deciding, do you want to continue doing it the same way, or you want to change the way how you do it. And that is regardless, again, personal and professional life for me is the one, the same, right? So that was very interesting on time, and why, and how people basically start signing up for such kind of courses during the summer holiday.
That is, and I'm going to put this, that the link to sign up
Thank
for Wise
you.
Up, see comments. And I think what I'm going to add in here is another little tip for anybody listening today or following me on social. If you use code Gail Now, and
Yes.
I'll just put this in, it's very simple, all one word, Gail Now. Let me just see here. So that's use that as the code that's scrolling along the bottom right now. You can get 10% off and be part of, and I dropped the link in both on LinkedIn and YouTube, and I'll add it to Twitter as well. And yeah, just this has been amazing. Thank you, Billiana. For those of you who, are questioning, wondering, should you, I strongly encourage you to give some thought to signing up. It's 14 days. It is in the summer, and it's not going to be like hours each day, right? So can you give maybe just one last, and we just got to start to wrap up, but
Yeah,
can you give us maybe a quick wrap up of what,
totally.
how much
It's
time
easy.
commitment?
Every morning when you wake up, you've got a video which is 3 minutes to watch, which gives you the question for the day and the assignment for the day. The assignment is very easy to do, and it's linked to the question. So you literally go throughout your day, and you answer that question. And then in the evening, we meet for 30 minutes. That's it, 30 minutes every evening on Zoom, so we can have that chat. I choose one person every day to have a chat and go through different questions. But it's so valuable to listen to the other people and answer the same questions what I asked that person to ask yourself this question. So it's 3 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. That's it. That's all the time. And obviously throughout the day, you just create those techniques like the lamp, the bulb in your head, and the rest I'm not going to tell, but the 11 techniques what I teach during the course. And you just use those techniques to literally create your life to be much easier and happier, rather than stressed and depressed. And yeah.
Yes, that seems, and well, I'm going to leave it at that because I think that just says it all. I'll add one more comment here from before. I'm going to put this down, and I do want to add this comment because hello on the show. Anger's jumped over from YouTube to LinkedIn saying it's different when you have someone like you helping you find the right way for you. Yes, that is, one thing I will tell you, one last thing I just want to say about Billiana is that Inger, I know Inger, Billiana knows Inger. We all met through networking. We had a small course you would take. And this is the other thing, you're going to meet other people as well, and you're going to learn from other people. And Billiana, what you bring to the table is so valuable because of your background in the corporate world. You have walked the walk. You're not coming in just like talking about this without understanding what people in corporate world are going through. Plus, you've worked with people as a consultant, and you understand digital. So now to bring all of that knowledge, and the other thing, I know you have one of the most curious minds as well when it comes to understanding why are
Huge.
we afraid? Why do we, and we have to, everybody that's listening may need to ask, why are you maybe resisting signing up?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. So come to the course and find out why you were resistant. And then you'll hear more testimonials, and you'll be like that guy from Business World that said he didn't want to do it and he did it and was grateful. One last question quickly. Can you say, what is it? How do you exercise your curious mind?
Who with with a lot of listening. I ask a lot of questions. Every time I meet people, I ask. I'm the queen of questions all the time, regardless where I go. The last time I went in a museum and I blasted so many questions in 1 minute that people are like, where that came from. And then the reason why I'm so curious is because somehow my digital mind create connections that people don't see those connections, and after this, when I hear something, I make even more connections, and it's like, oh my god, if you do this, and then I turn it into business. Of course, if you do this because this and this what I heard and I know from these people, then that is going to happen for your business and it's going to be successful. So somehow that's how my brain works. Like whatever I hear, I just turn it into a business and business idea. And yeah.
I can
But
vouch for that. Billiana, I'll meet you in the green room. Thank you for being an amazing guest.
thank
This
you,
hour just
everyone.
flew
I
by.
can't wait to see you on the course and yeah, work together with you on you.
Okay, I'll see you shortly. Oh, you know, I'll say this, if you spend any amount of time with Billiana, you will come away feeling energized and refreshed and ready to figure out how to find solutions and find opportunities. That's probably the biggest thing that you will get from this course. And at first, I will tell you, 14 days seemed like, that seemed like it's a commitment. 14 days every day. But then I thought about all the time wasting I do. That what if I took that time and, instead of sometimes scrolling mindlessly through some social media, what if I took that time? And that's my commitment to myself. Just like I've also just started at the gym with a trainer. I've mainly because I wanted to get on track. And I knew that, here's the other thing, when you pay for something and you invest in it in yourself, uh, you're more likely to stay committed and step up. So, looking forward to seeing everyone at the course, and hope everyone has a great day. If you're looking to find out more about what I do as a public relations strategist and how I help those in manufacturing as well as in other areas as well, how I help people sign up, suit up, and show up, and how to tell and share your stories, you can find me on my show here, Curious Minds. I also have some other shows on YouTube, other interviews that I've done about showing up, especially those in manufacturing. I'm on Twitter as Gail Now. For a little comic relief and fun, I'm over on TikTok as Gail Now. I'm on Instagram as Gail Now 1 and LinkedIn. I'm pretty much everywhere. If you Google Gail Now, you'll find me some way. So hopefully you'll reach out, say hello. I'd love to hear from everybody, especially about your thoughts on this show. So thanks everybody for tuning in today, and have a amazing, curious filled day. Ciao, everybody.